Are we live? Episode 26, we're going to have a conversation with customer service on basically the requirements that the customer is looking for, what information that we should have, and what happens when we start getting busier with customer service. So today I have Jami. Jami has been with us 2 years?
2 years now.
So you first came in on the accounting side.
Right.
And we slid you to customer service because you're really good talking with customers.
I'm a really good talker. Mm-hmm.
And your background was you were already familiar with the industry.
Correct.
You worked with a aerosol company, so that was more of a finished product.
Right.
And with that, you bought fragrance from another fragrance manufacturer, which was still kind of intertwined. So you definitely were familiar with the finished product, our product, and what our customers were looking for.
Right.
So you do customer service, take orders, process, I need C of A, I need paperwork, all of that.
All of that.
So what do you think our customers are looking for out of us?
I really believe that they're looking for someone that can help them just thrive in the area that they're in. Whatever their finished good is, they need to know what's selling better, what's trending, what's coming up. They're wanting to know things that can also be very regional.
Yeah.
And those are very hard to answer.
So usually the customers that we're dealing with really are coming from the startup to smaller mom and pops. Exactly. So really out of the industry and the stuff that we're doing, they really need a lot of hand holding, right?
Yes.
So they are basically, I have an idea. I'd like to do this product. You guys sell fragrance that should work in that product, but it usually doesn't end anywhere close to that. So usually the first thing is we have to find out, do you currently have a business, meaning a business license, sales tax ID, that type of thing.
Right.
Right. So how does the conversation usually go when you tell a customer we're business to business? If you don't have a sales tax certificate or a business license, we can't do business with you.
I get a lot of, it's just samples. Well, samples lead into others. So this is a company policy. We require it. I really can't bend on this. This is something that we require.
Right. And the reason why is we're sending samples out with the anticipation of you buying something.
Right.
Right. So if you haven't taken the first steps of being committed enough to have a business license or a sales tax certificate, most likely you're going to get the samples, you're going to put it into a product and then decide, maybe I don't want to go into business. And then it was all a waste of time on all fronts.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's literally why we do the pre-screen. Okay. So now they get a sample, everything looks good. Now they contact you and they say, hey, I'd like to place my first order. And how does that normally go?
Well, it goes several different types of ways. It really depends on how they went about getting their samples.
Okay.
If they were unsure of what type of samples to buy and they just bought them through the web.
Yep.
Without speaking to anybody.
Yep.
I have to go back in around them and be like, okay, so what are we making? Because you're buying industrial strength vanilla for lotion. But
I wanted it industrial strength and super strong. That's why I picked industrial. I saw the one for soap, but soap it wasn't as strong as I wanted. So I bought industrial.
And we have different categories for a reason. Industrial is for industrial type products, cleaning products.
Right. The fragrance is formulated to work in that product.
Correct.
So a lot of people will say, oh, well, I wanted this body oil or this perfume or cologne, and I wanted to put that into a candle or soap, and it's not formulated for that, so it doesn't work. And then they contact and they say, well, I bought this, I put it in my product, and it wasn't soluble. It's not supposed to be soluble because something that goes into a personal care product compared to something that's a candle, which is a wax,
right,
is not going to be the same carrier oils and it's not going to line up.
Exactly.
So we've actually had some bigger accounts that bought industrial water-soluble versions of fragrances, tried to put them into candles, even bought 25, 50 pounds, and then called us back and said, yeah, all the fragrances are great. We like them, except for this banana for some reason doesn't work. And then we start looking into it, and we're going, this should have never even been used in a candle.
And unfortunately, mistakes like that tend to be made when they're done on the web.
Yeah.
If you call your rep and you talk to them and be like, this is what I need,
Yep.
we're pretty, fluent enough to get you to the right products.
Right. So the web is good and bad. So the website's good that you can order 24/7. At 2 o'clock in the morning, you could say, I'm going to do candles, and this is what I want. This is what I want to lay out. But the bad side of it is you haven't asked anybody. So if you happen to click on the wrong thing and order the wrong item, there's nothing we can do because you bought a custom product. We figured you clicked on the right category, and then you contact us back and say, hey, I know that it said soap, but I wanted to put it in candle, and it's not working.
Right. There's a different type of solvent that's used in different types of candles. There's a lot more than it just saying candle or soap and body care products.
And we've even thought of the new websites, because we're always changing stuff, would actually have a big prompt right before you checked out and said, your product is X. Mm-hmm. So your product is candles. And you would have to say yes. And if you click no, well, then it would dump your cart and you'd have to kind of start over. I think that's something that we're going to have to build in one of the new versions just to make sure, hey, you bought the wrong oil for what you're going to make.
Right. Or if there was a checkbox, these are the products that I make. And a lot of times if somebody's doing personal care products,
yep,
they're doing lots of different types of personal cares, the lotions, the bath bombs, and all of that.
Right.
That it only allows them to have fragrance that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to have some people that do air fresheners, and they want to use the same type of fragrances that people are using in other areas that don't quite fit their need, but they want them all phthalate-free,
yep,
vanillin-free, and skin-safe.
Yep.
So
well, the customer's always right, Jamie. So,
I understand.
So we have to figure out how to make one fragrance that works in 26 products with the IFRA limits that's allowable, and it still smells the same.
Strong. It's got to be strong, too.
And cheap.
Oh, yes.
It can't be expensive. I need it for like $2 a pound.
Right.
Right. So these are the things that customer service has to deal with on a regular basis, where most people have realistic expectations, especially if they've been in the industry long enough. They know what there is and what there isn't. But since we deal with the startups, we have to say, you need a product made for this fragrance. So let's work about your candle line, and then let's talk about your soap line, and now you want to do air fresheners, and you want to do whatever else. Let's look at those individually, see if we can get something that might work with some of those, but not all of those. And, oh, by the way, I want to add it into a...
but first, let me buy $500 worth of samples to pick 4 fragrances.
Yeah, and we have that a lot. So, yeah, I want 200 samples, but I really just knew I wanted a pumpkin pie, but I just decided to add all these extras just to make myself more complicated.
Right.
And then, oh, by the way, I tested all 500, but I really just wanted that.
Right. Yeah. Tested them all, and half of them didn't do what they were supposed to do. Well,
these are body oils.
85% of what you picked out was wrong.
Yeah.
So if you ever, I think that if customers really feel invested in what they're getting ready to do,
yep,
they will pick up the phone.
Yeah. Well, I think that the people who've been in it long enough know, okay, I'm looking for a cherry that's going to be used in an industrial application. Let me click on Super Cherry. Let me check out. I need 25 pounds. Get it to me in 3 days. I'm good. Then you have another group that's like, okay, I've been buying this from a reseller for years, and now I need 25 pounds. Oh, they have it on their website. Let me check out. I'm good. Right? So there's certain situations where the website works very well.
Right.
But at that hand-holding early stages where I don't know what I need to order, I don't know what works in my products, I don't even really know what product I'm going to make yet, it's kind of hard to, it's chicken before the egg. I mean, that's really what it is.
Right. Call us, talk to us, let us know what you're looking for. Because I can guarantee you that if you come in and we talk, or we talk on the phone, I will get you the exact 4 fragrances that you need to start up.
Yep.
It's a lot easier for me if we talk to each other. I'm an email queen. I get a whole bunch of emails a day.
Yeah.
But to actually speak to somebody, there's a different type of connection when you actually put words to somebody and voice. You know the sincerity and kind of what they're looking for, the passion of it, things like that. It makes it a little easier to find their fragrances that they're looking for. Yeah,
I agree with that. So I can have someone email me and say, I'm looking for a tropical scent that we're going to be using in a suntan lotion. So in my mind, I'm thinking coconut, something like that. right? And then when I talk to them in person, they're like, oh, no, 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 we wanted something completely different. We're trying to do strawberry and we're trying to do a banana. And you're going, okay, if you knew you were already very specific on what fruits you wanted, why did you tell me tropical? I was thinking like midsummer breeze,
something
and
that
pink
smelled like the
sands
beach.
and, you know. So I'm with you. If I can sit with somebody for 5-10 minutes or be on the phone with them, you know, that works also. You can really give me more details that's lost with an email.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
My favorite is, hey, I need you to pick me out a rose. What kind of rose? Just what rose? Do you want it to smell like you just picked it? That it has thorns on it? Do you want it to smell like old lady rose? Do you want it to smell like
Oh, yeah. Do you want a perfume?
candied rose? Or
do you want a dozen roses? Do you want, oh, yeah.
When you want a rose, you've got to kind of be specific about what type of smell you're looking for. Don't just say rose.
I think people get frustrated, though. Sometimes you're talking with them and they're like, I just need a vanilla. I just need a vanilla. Like, are you competent? Just send me a vanilla masking fragrance. That's all I need.
Well, that's different. Vanilla masking fragrance is different than just vanilla fragrance.
Right, but we have a bin of 200 vanillas that we're trying to pick. So we have a buttery, creamy vanilla. We have a very generic vanilla. We have
one that smells like vanilla extract, one that smells sweet, one that smells edible.
Right. And then all variants of that. So what product is it going into? All the carrier oil differences, the IFRA limits. I mean, literally we have 200 vanillas. So I can send you 5 vanillas and you're going to see, wow, these are totally different than each other.
Yes.
And I still might not hit the vanillas that you wanted.
Exactly.
Because I'm going off what I think.
Right. I will pick, if you allow me, I'm going to pick my favorites.
Right.
But if you have something specific, you have to let me know.
So you're going to get sugar cookie, pumpkin pecan vanilla. I think from the customer service side, that is probably our hardest thing, is trying to figure out what the client is looking for and picking those. So, I mean, I have gone through and done, 100 sample requests, and I go to the facility and we go through it. And literally before I went into that meeting, I thought for sure these 25 were the ones that they were going to purchase. And literally I walk out of that meeting and they bought a complete different 25 because in their mind, they were expecting something different than what I interpreted.
Right.
And people smell differently. I smell something, I'm thinking it's really good. They smell it, they go, I told you I wanted something like a bonfire. You gave me fireside and it barely has anything in it. I wanted smoked woods,
Right.
And you're like, okay, wait a minute. But you don't know that until you have those meetings.
Right.
So what is the hardest problem dealing with customers? Well, let me rephrase that. So usually the hardest problem that we have is certain times of the year, people are all getting ready for the shows.
Yeah.
So we have, the main shows start January, and then we have another run that goes in July, and then there's a couple shows that fall in between. So literally it's like everybody wakes up a month before the show, and they're like, hey, I need a whole new line. I need all new products. Send me this, send me that. And literally everything comes in at the same time, and now the lab's completely backed up.
Right.
I don't think they understand that if we say 2 weeks on a project, that's 2 weeks on a project. But if you send me 50 bottles, that's not going to be 2 weeks, because literally I have another 200 other projects that are in-house for other customers, and that makes it difficult.
I've had to explain multiple times that when you send me your stuff, it's 2 weeks from the day that I receive it, not the day that it left your house.
Yeah, that happens
And
a lot.
you send it from California snail mail.
Right. So it took 5 days to get here.
5 days to get here. It's once I receive it, and I let you know.
Yep, I got your stuff.
You got your stuff in today. We're going to get it started. And I try to keep in communication with you to let you know what's going on, how much longer it's going to need. But there's always that chance that it didn't work right the first time, and they want to make that the lab wants to make sure that we send out the best product available.
Right.
So they have to run it more than one time.
Yep.
So it takes a little longer sometimes.
So we do a first run duplication, and that's called the X1, and then that goes through evaluation. If it fails, it goes to an X2, and that basically means it's rerun back to the machine. We're running one against another, and that's where we zero it down, right? So we don't want to send an X1 that's close. We want to make sure you get the product that you want, so that's the X2, and then that does take a little bit longer. The other thing is if you send us a product, it's got to be extracted. So now all of a sudden we lose 3 or 4 days in the extraction process before it even starts the duplication process. So I think all projects aren't the same. We try to hit that 2-week window, but there's always give or take on that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so duplications coming in. Now the next thing we have is usually around peak season. So peak season for us is usually August through the end of the year. Everybody's ramping up for Thanksgiving and Christmas and the holidays, and then that cinnamon and pumpkin, and then it goes into vanilla and then pine and cinnamon and you know, the whole gauntlet. We try to hold as close as we can to 3 days, but usually in that time period, we have even several weeks that we're going past that into 5 or 6 days.
Absolutely.
Right. So the bigger companies, they kind of have projections, and we're never really shutting any of them down. A mom and pop that literally goes by the weight of the jug to see how much they have or don't have, and all of a sudden they had a good day at, you know, one of their shows that they went to,
right,
and they call us and say, I'm out of product, I need it to go day, I'm shut down, what can you guys do? Those are harder. I mean, we want to treat all of our customers the same,
right,
but I can't bump out a guy who had planned, who's on the schedule, to try the next day or another guy, right? So we try to be fair, treat all customers the same, but that is difficult when it comes around that peak season.
It does.
Yeah.
You get people that'll pull your heartstring.
Yeah.
You know, they'll lose everything if we can't get this to them now.
Yeah.
They trust me, I know. But there are situations where we are able to expedite for something.
Right.
You know.
Oh, anytime that we have capacity and we can do it, and of course we have guys working overtime and we're running 3 8-hour shifts, I mean, we will try to slide you in, but capacity's capacity sometimes.
Sometimes we just can't, and I think that because we've been able to do it for so many people
Yep.
before, that this past year when we were crazy busy around here,
Oh, yeah.
that it kind of, some feelings got hurt because we couldn't do it. We were doing the best. We are doing the best we can to get everybody out.
Oh, yeah.
In a
We were
timely
so
manner.
underwater. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, and that's a good breakdown on when we try to meet the customer's expectations. So we're beating most people in the industry, but we still fall short, and we know that, and we're trying to get reinforcements, and we're trying to beef it back up. What other things do we see that customers want that we need to implement?
I think that first, having a better website for them, an explanation video on how to use the web store would help.
Yeah.
Just to let people know that there's just a bar there, but you have to kind of be specific about what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But I think the best thing to help our customers is to make sure that us as customer service is educated.
Yeah.
Teach us how to fix, troubleshoot problems, and talk to the customers, because they're coming to us because now everything was great until I put fragrance in and now I don't know what to do. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Am I pouring it wrong?
So it's always the fragrance's fault. And I think it's the most expensive part of the product most of the time. So I understand. And then people add the fragrance into it, and then they say, oh, it fell apart because of the fragrance.
Right.
So it wasn't the base, it wasn't the packaging, it wasn't the container, it was the fragrance that made it fall apart. And literally, I have gone to so many facilities to find out why they're having a problem. And I would say out of those, maybe 1% were really a fragrance issue. It's usually some manufacturing, it's usually some off-spec material that came through, just something weird.
Right.
So we had this customer the other day, and Jennifer actually stopped me in the hallway. And she goes, hey, I have a really good question. This customer said they have candles, and the candles are turning blue after they add our fragrance. Right?
I remember this question.
And I said, positively 100%, adding our fragrance is never going to make a candle turn blue. Whatever the color is of the fragrance oil is what it's going to be in the candle. So it can go yellow, it can even go brown. There's multiple shades that it could go, but it will not go blue.
Yeah.
Right? So she goes, oh, okay. So I hear her get back on the phone. She's talking with the customer. Okay. So literally later on, I think it was the next day, I got copied on an email for an email chain that was going throughout the company. They were trying to figure out this problem. And one of the people said, can he send a picture of the bottle and the container that we sent him, right? So in this, it's a red pail that we sell to the customer, and we've thoroughly tested the red pails. They don't react. They don't anything. And the customer was packing this off into a black bottle, right? And then reselling the oil off by itself. So the peat bottle was actually leaching the dye, and the fragrance itself was absorbing that, causing it to turn blue, right? So whenever he was pouring the fragrance out of this black bottle, you could tell it was tinted, but in his mindset, when I put it in the bottle, it wasn't tinted, so it shouldn't be tinted coming out the other side, and it wasn't him. He'd sold it to another customer that was having this issue. But when we tracked it all the way back, the problem was the fragrance being in the wrong bottle, then being poured into a candle. But again, they're like, no, your fragrance turned the candle blue, right? So normally you'd be like, well, you know what? It's not our problem. Fragrance was good. We checked our QC retain. It's clear. Good luck, right? But that's not how this company is.
Right.
We will try to hold your hand, and let's walk step by step and find out what broke, right? So what broke is you picked out a really pretty black bottle
Plastic
that
bottle.
leached dye into the fragrance, and now it's causing you problems. So the fix for that is don't use that black bottle. Use a clear, use glass. I mean, there's HDPE. There's multiple things that could have been done, but your problem was you chose the wrong plastic container.
Right.
Yeah. So the customer was very upset. The whole deal went south. He switched his business. He went to another supplier, right? And I was like, I hate that that didn't work out, but we didn't know what his application was. He sent us the oil. We duplicated it. We did it spot on. We sent it back to him. He was selling it for a year. We didn't hear anything, had no feedback. And then all of a sudden, just overnight, he's having all these issues. So account was dead, hasn't bought from us, gone, right? Literally, that customer contacted me a couple weeks ago, and he said, hey, I've got a whole new project. I'm going to be sending you oils. We need to get back to doing business together, da, da, da. So even like, to me, the worst case scenario where a customer was like, I just feel like everything imploded and it's all on you guys, right? And I explained to him, we were completely in the dark. We did exactly what you wanted. We didn't know what the outcome was. And he still came back and circled back around. So when I say our retention from customers is through the roof, it really is. Considering this industry, usually what happens is a customer is buying from you and for whatever reason, they just switch the business. It could be they find a cheaper price, a new sales guy knocks on the door, this, that, and the other. Our customers really stick with us because we work with them. The other thing is, okay, sometimes you have to do collections, right? The bad side, right? So you have to contact customers and say, hey, we gave you net 30 terms and you haven't paid us.
But I'm still real nice about it.
What's going on, right?
Don't
just
forget.
Just making sure you're alive. Can we count on you, right? And even a lot of those accounts that we ended up having to take away terms because literally you called 12 times and got no email responses or nothing, right? But still, they ended up being a good account. They got their feet back on the ground, and we gave them terms again, and everything lined up because it's the way we do business. It's not, hey, I'm going to send Ugo, and he's going to bring him and his boys with some baseball bats for $100. We're just, hey, we're out here. We need to work something out. Let us know. And
the best thing to do is, even if you don't have it, just let me talk to me.
Oh yeah.
Tell me what's going on because I'll be your best advocate when I have to go to Josh and be like, look, so I know that they're past due, everything's, but they're trying.
Right.
I said, please don't quit on them. Just it's easier for me to do that or for them to call you and do that.
Right. I know I'm going to be, I had this with one of my bigger accounts. He called me and he said, look, right now my cash flow is zero. But if you cut me off on fragrance, I'm not going to be able to sell anything, so I'm not going to dig myself out of this hole. I really need you to go in and float me for another 120 days, but at the end of that, I swear I'll pay everything down, right? Now, for me, I have to go, okay, great. You owe me 40 grand, and now you want me to go in another 40 grand. So I'm going to be $80,000 on the hook if it doesn't work out and you go belly up on me. You got me. Yeah. All right. Let's try it. And it worked. Yep. And I got that back and everything was taken care of. And we've had several accounts that we've done that for. Now, don't call me out of the blue and I don't know you, and we have no reputation, and you go, hey, I watched this podcast where you're going to go 40 grand on me.
No, that's not how it works.
I can tell you what's going to happen with customer service. I'm going to be like, no. Okay, but you can go to the mart and not pay Josh or vice versa, but I'm going to want you to go to the mart, get some more sales, and bring that to the table, because then your business is going to double or triple, right? And honestly, the people that we see at the shows, it's really interesting to see that they started out buying samples, a 10-pounder, then they went to a 25-pounder, and now those accounts are doing $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 in sales a year. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, so the advice we're giving must be right on because it's working. On the other side of that, we grew with them, which is really good because we know their products, we know their business, we've helped them out. We remember when they called us and said, hey, does IFRA matter, right? And these are very important things as they grow. IFRA matters. And that's what gives us the brand loyalty. And that's what makes us succeed. So even I've had a conversation with media, right? Because they're doing customer service as well, right? They're reaching out to customers. But sometimes they try to go to this ultra high end, like we're some French fragrance house and this, that, and the other. And I'm going, what part of our business is that way? We're the buddy that you can call and have a conversation with, and here's what I need, and be straight honest with, hey, I'm broke, but here's my plan. What do you think? Oh, that's horrible. Don't do this. Don't do that. But if you do this, you'd be able to double up. I mean, that's the conversations that we like to have. And that's not an ultra high-end fragrance house.
No. We work with people that went from their kitchen table.
Right, to the garage.
To the garage.
The garage to a storage unit.
And then, and now this year or next year, they're open 100 franchise stores.
Right.
It's because from day one, we've been here.
Right.
We helped you from how to make sure that everything's binding in your bars and your soaps and all your other things that are going out everywhere.
Oh, and even the costing. We're teaching you how to make the product. We're showing you which works, what doesn't. We're giving you advice on supply chain and how to handle things, and then not to grow too fast, right? Because now all of a sudden you go bankrupt because you have no cash flow. I mean, we try to really be the whole package for these people, and especially our game plan going in this year is to give a lot more of that information out there. It's very important.
And one thing that a customer just recently said to me, she was like, my God, you guys don't have a problem sharing information.
Right.
You call any other fragrance company and everything is top secret. They won't tell you how much it is, nothing.
This used to drive me insane from the other side of the business. Call a fragrance house and say, I need a sample of vanilla. And they'd be like, no problem. I'm going to send you a couple samples. Samples come in. You're like, oh, vanilla A, oh, vanilla B, great. You call the rep. Hey, what's my price? Well, what's your yearly volumes, right? And you're like, I don't even know what's going to work with my product. Like, what's my price? Well, if you buy 25 pounds, it's this. If you buy 400 pounds, it's this. Okay. Or my favorite is, well, it's $10 a pound. Okay. But if I buy 400 pounds, what's my price? $10 a pound. I don't get a discount no, your vanilla is $10 a pound, right? So at the beginning, I was like, okay, one, the smoke and mirrors have to change. Like if I'm trying to make a candle or I'm trying to buy a product, I literally want to go to the website and be like, this is what my price is and this is what my options are.
Right.
And all the other fragrance houses, literally top secret, you're not going to get it. That's Bob's prices. Sally gets it a little cheaper. Steve gets a deal because I know his kids. Like I didn't really understand any of that. So to me it was, you need this, here's your price. It's on the website, like CarMax. I love CarMax. You can't haggle. You can't walk in there and be like, can you give me an extra $50 off? Here's the price. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from. I don't care if you're, a Saudi prince. This is the CarMax price, right? And that to me was perfectly logical. And that's how we ran this place.
Absolutely. I think that putting it out there so it's accessible.
Well, here's the other side too, though. With that, we'll get an email probably once a week. Well, I know that's everybody else's prices. What's your wholesale prices? Well, first, we're business to business, right? So we don't have retail and wholesale. And on the second side, Bubba, that's Bubba's price. If Bubba's my brother, Bubba's my friend, that's my web price. That's it.
Well, or my favorite is I'm just a new person. Can you just do a pound or a couple ounces? Like, I don't really need 10 pounds. 10 pounds is our minimum.
We're a manufacturer.
We are a manufacturer.
Yeah.
We don't have the capabilities to make smaller batches like that.
Everybody thinks that we just walk in the back and we have drums of finished product and we just pour it off.
Right,
No.
like 30,000 drums.
If you buy 10 pounds, we custom make that 10 pounds for you out of the 500 or 600 different raw materials that we have out in our production area. So it doesn't matter if it's 10 pounds, 400 pounds, 2,000 pounds, everything is custom for you, and that's why it takes 3 days.
Right.
We're trying to squeeze that down a little bit less, but 3 days. So I think that is a misconception, especially when people are buying 1 pound from resellers. They're going, well, they ship the same day.
Well, good for them.
Well, of course, because they just turn a spigot
They
and put
just-
on a label. You know?
But they waited 3 days to get it from us.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the other problem that happens with them. So they call that reseller and say, hey, I had a good show. I need 100 pounds of maple walnut. And they go, no problem. You can have it in 3 weeks, because they're going to order it from a fragrance house. The fragrance house ships it to them. They're going to repack it, ship it back to the original. Once you get past that, you don't need it. But there also is the need for resellers, because you're not going to get 1 pound from us.
No.
So you have
Doesn't
to,
mean that we don't love you, that we don't wish the best for you.
one day you're going to be part of the family.
Until then,
Until
we'll
then-
get somebody that is part of the family that can help you.
Right.
We're-
Because we have 100 resellers that basically is buying our oil. So we can direct you to the closest one, or depending on your product, and that's how that's handled. Yeah.
We try to make sure that we take care of everybody.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Agreed.
And some ugly people, we take care of them too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So this was AFI customer service. Need anything, call Jamie.
Wait a minute.
That's,
Wait a minute.
follow us on social media and contact Jamie.
Has anybody seen Josh?